Aloha and welcome back to Ho'akaka Energy Healing. I'm Dr. Doug Herman. You know, when we talk about energy healing, what we're really talking about is working with the subconscious, that great massive part of the psyche that contains all the information that's ever happened any time in your life. So today, in this video, I'd like to talk a little bit about the subconscious for those of you who aren't so familiar with it. And more importantly, how we can communicate with the subconscious. I'm going to teach you a trick. And beyond that, how I can communicate with your subconscious from afar. Let's check it out. In the other tradition I practice, Morna Simeona's Ho'oponopono practice, we talk about three selves: the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the superconscious. I find this breakdown really useful. To use the iceberg metaphor, your conscious mind is in that 10% that poking up above the water with the ego and has willpower, rational thought, and short-term memory. But the massive bulk of your mind, the subconscious, is under the water, and it has long-term memories, emotions, beliefs, values, habits, protective mechanisms, and imagination. This is the massive supercomputer that's recorded everything that's ever happened in your entire life, and it's in the ocean connected to all the other subconsciousnesses out there. But we'll get to that. The superconscious is like your guardian angel. Mostly it just watches over you. When it feels necessary, it can intercede. It's also the source of intuition. I'll talk more about it in a separate video, but this is your connection to the divine. It is your higher self, your spiritual being. And here's the secret: you access it via the subconscious. Now, to access the subconscious and work with it, we use muscle testing. Muscle testing, also known as applied kinesiology, is a technique developed in 1964 by chiropractor George Goodhart Jr. This method uses any one of a range of simple muscle tests to derive yes or no answers from the subconscious. The subconscious wants to help. It's like a puppy. It's eager. One philosopher called it something to the effect of the eager servant to an inattentive master. The conscious mind is easily distracted, pulled this way and that by whatever is going on around it, and rarely pays attention to what the subconscious is trying to communicate. And so you can end up with stress, anxiety, physical symptoms, whatever. Now, muscle testing involves training your subconscious to answer yes or no questions. One of the simplest and oldest methods of doing this is the use of a pendulum. This goes back thousands of years across cultures around the globe. Let me show you how this works. Here's how I was taught to teach your subconscious how to use the pendulum. You make a card or a piece of paper on which you have yes and no in the directions of which you nod your head and shake your head. Set that down. Get a pendulum. You can use just a large paper clip on a thread. I have this little pendant of mine. It's actually a little tiny statue of Guanyin Bodhisattva. You don't want anything very heavy. Now you want to rest your elbow on the table. You don't want your subconscious to have to work too hard. And then you're just going to show it. This is yes. And this is no. And if you're new to this, you might need to do this 4 or 5 times and maybe test it and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, you do it again until you get it work. And you know it works when you can say, show me yes. And it does. And then show me no. And it does. So now your subconscious knows how to communicate with you using the pendulum. You don't need the card anymore. Here are some important caveats for questioning the subconscious. Do not use this for gambling, predicting the future, major life decisions, investigating the past, invading people's privacy or reading their minds, which doesn't work, or replacing common sense. Remember that the subconscious is like a puppy. It wants to please, and it can be influenced by thoughts and expectations. Under pressure, it can tell you what you want to hear, and this can really mess up your relationship with your subconscious. Now, the method of muscle testing I use is the ring-on-ring method, We have one ring that's the base, if you want to call it that, and the other which will be the responder. And if I ask a yes or no question and the answer is yes, they'll stay strong when I pull on them. But if the answer is no, it'll break. Yes, I had to teach myself this, didn't take very long. And the principle behind it is that our body responds positively to positive things. So, yes, it's a strong reaction, strong, healthy reaction. No, we sort of cringe from it, gets weak and it breaks. So, no, I don't want that. So, that's the basic principle behind it. Now, when working with people in person, I can do muscle testing directly on the client. But for the most part, I work remotely. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect with your subconscious, and then I'm going to serve as a proxy for you. To do this, we'll take a moment of silence during which I will tune into your wavelength and open a door inside myself for your subconscious to resonate within me. For me, it feels very weak at first, and then it slowly fills my head and chest and into my body. And then I'll muscle test to ask whether my name is Dana or whatever your name is, and I'll get a yes response. So now I know we are connected. Please note that this doesn't mean I can read your thoughts. I don't really get any content from this connection, just a feeling of presence and an ability to ask questions and test for answers. At the end of the session, I'll disconnect from you, kind of like hanging up the phone, only slower, and then I go back to just being me. Now, how is it even possible that I can connect with your subconscious? One theory for how this works goes again to quantum mechanics. Quantum entanglement is a phenomenon in which two linked subatomic particles remain connected so that measuring one instantly dictates the state of the other, no matter the distance. They can be galaxies apart, but measuring one still affects the other. Albert Einstein called this behavior spooky action at a distance because it seemed to break rules about the speed of light. Consciousness seems to act this same way. You can be on the other side of the planet and I can still connect with you. Distance doesn't affect the process. I live in Hawaii and I've worked with a client as far away as Paris. So that's how we can do it. In my next video, I'm going to talk about how we can then identify and release negative energies from the subconscious, and then we'll talk about what it would look like to actually do a session with me. So come on back. Aloha.